why this milk is better than the popular brand.
Let's take this call. We have a caller here.
Okay, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, Inspector.
Yes. Good morning.
Are you the good morning now? Abi?
Good morning, Mr. Akin. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, my name is Akin.
All right. Welcome.
Your guest has spoken very well, but I just want to add one or two things.
Okay.
Branding basically is about differentiation. Either you want to differentiate your product or you want to differentiate your company. That is the physical aspect of it. What about the psychological aspect of this is that if I buy ABC toothpaste from XYZ, it's a confirmed product. It lasts long and people accept it. I think that is the core aspect of branding. No matter how colorful your product is, no matter how beautiful you package it, when people use those products, it does not make a standard. That brand will never last. But when you take that product, everybody attests to it, and 10 people enter a supermarket, and 8 of them ask for that particular brand of a product. That means you successfully create a physical brand and physical brand itself. But most times, many companies concentrate so much on the output part of that product. Talking about it in the outputs, they talk much about what of the cycle. How do you appeal to cycle the people that are buying? For them to key into that brand. And that's why I talk about if you have a successful brand, you will not be making the profit. Because over the time, your sales will start dropping. When people are no longer have psychological attachment to that particular product because of the quality itself. Finally, for you to create a niche for yourself in the market, your product will be very standard. If you are in real estate, if you are selling an estate for people, let them know that when they pay to you, over time, you will deliver. That is the brand itself.
All right.
When you are into real estate, people pay to you to buy, they deliver. It makes sense. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akin. Apparently, he knows a thing or two about branding too.
He is very right. I can't agree less with what he's saying. However, a very important thing to note is your goal as a brand is not to appeal to everybody. It's not to get the acceptance of everybody. The moment you try to do that, you've already started failing. It's about identifying the group of people you want and getting them to accept you. I said earlier that the work of marketing is reduced when you do proper branding, because if I accept something and you're like me, chances are excellent I will tell you about it. That's me marketing for free.
Right. Just the way we recommend stuff to each other.
Exactly. And it's easier to make a recommendation when you can point to something. Or when you get to that aisle, the toothpaste that is colored XYZ, the name of, even the name of a brand is part of branding. You might think, how did these people arrive at naming this thing, this word? Why did they name this milk like this and stuff? Many of those decisions are made based on the target audience. Think of it, most of the names of, especially fast-moving consumer goods, milk, chocolate beverages and stuff, they have somewhat childish brand names. Think about it.
Yeah.
Usually 4-letter, 2 syllables.
2 syllables.
You know,
yeah.
Easy for children to pronounce. It's intentional. It's very intentional. The ones that are not targeting kids have more complicated names. I'm not going to mention any brand name, but think about it. It's all intentional.
All right. Before we took the call, you're talking about if you were going to give an example of real estate, and then you changed to food.
To food. So
yeah.
I was saying, if I'm trying to convince you to try out a brand of milk you've never tried before, chances are excellent that we'll have a lengthy conversation. Time is money. If I had done the work earlier of creating a brand that is recognizable, all those long conversations will not have to happen. When you multiply that across the board and you think of every conversation, every lengthy conversation that can be mitigated, you realize that whatever money you're spending on branding is money well spent. Because it reduces the time you have to use to convince a person. It reduces, in marketing, we call it the cost of customer acquisition. Every customer you're able to get, there is a cost attached to it.
Right.
either the amount of time you used or the signage they saw or something. You spent some amount of money, whether you're conscious of it or not, in order to attract one client. That figure drops drastically when you do your branding and you do it right.
Okay, all right. We're learning. Hi, Gabriel. I'm listening to the conversation. I wonder who the guest is. Has he answered the question who he is, or is going about answering this question for everyone? Ubulu. I'm not sure I understand the question, Ubulu.
I think I understand the question.
Okay.
He's asking.
Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, go ahead, please.
So what's the person's name?
Ubulu. Ubulu from Karasite.
Okay, Ubulu. I think I understand what he's saying. He's asking me this question. I'm demanding that businesses answer. The question of who are you?
Oh,
Have I myself
answered it?
That's a very good question. Definitely, I have.
Okay.
You, Gabriel, you've known me for quite a number of years. I have maintained a consistent brand identity since you've known me.
Right.
It's been how many years? 6, 7 years. So before coming to that point, I had to ask myself critical questions. Being a polymath of some sort, someone who is good at several things, it was crazy for me. You can only imagine the confusion of what should I be doing, who should I. When I started doing brand consultancy, I didn't know it was a thing. It was just an amalgamation of all my skill sets and my passions, right? And you are aware I have a master's degree in consumer psychology. I also learned independently, unconnected to it. I learned graphics design. I have an MBA. How do all these things come together?
Right.
The question I started asking myself, okay, who needs this skill set? Because at the time, people in my life didn't even know what I did for a living, because I could barely,
somewhat of a jack of all trades.
I could barely summarize what I could do. But yes, it did take me some time to identify who I am, who I want to serve, and position myself rightly for it.
Right.
There are places you won't find me. I'm sorry to say this, no offense to anybody, but I'm not on Facebook. My target audience is not there.
Interesting. And so that comes down to, which is a question I was going to ask. There are different social media platforms. And it's important we talk about this because people, I was with a couple of friends 2 days ago, and they're into cars, right? And one of them was saying that he spends about 200K on ads on social media. I will not mention the particular one. Every week.
Every week. Does he get the money back?
And I did the math. I wouldn't know that. I don't know what the bank account looks like. But I did the math, and he said that's for one app. I don't know.
And does it probably across different platforms?
Most likely.
Okay.
And he just said to me, "Oh, okay, all right, that's a lot of money this guy is spending on adverts, on marketing. You'd better be making tons of money to recuperate." But how do you determine? And I wish we can make it practical. Let's look at the different sectors: food, clothing, services rendered, goods being sold. What would be the ideal platform? Looking at all of the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok is the in thing now that everybody's going to. How do you determine which one is the right one for your business? What are the metrics that you use to gauge?
That's a very good question. Before I go straight into that question, for the person you spoke about, one of the advantages of doing branding and doing it correctly is you will save a lot of money on adverts because you won't be advertising all over the place. If you know exactly what you're doing, instead of spreading, for example, 200,000 across 4 different platforms and doing, I can only imagine what the targeting looks like because that's part of it, right? But to answer the question, how do you know what platform works best? It's understanding your target audience. Where are these people? So I did an ad campaign for a real estate company in the month of March, and the price point and the kind of building they were selling, at a glance, I could tell the age demography they were going to be targeting. They were targeting 50 people in their 50s plus, right? They were the only people who would even be interested in that location and that kind of house, right? And I can tell you for free, The average 50-something-year-old is not on TikTok.
Really? So are?
If the average.
Okay, the average.
Not, yeah?
Mm.
So, chances are excellent if you want to get people like that, Facebook is your best bet. If you're targeting the typical Gen Z, you're a fashion brand that sells stuff for them, right? You sell your baggy jeans, your box t-shirts, your Doc Martens shoes. If you're that kind of brand, you will perform way better on TikTok, for example, than LinkedIn. The average Gen Z is not on LinkedIn looking for, and that's another thing, not just where they are, but their mindset when they are there. For example, most people that are logged in, that have LinkedIn up on their screen, they're in a serious mood.
Right.
That's not the time they're trying to open another tab to buy a pair of shoes. Right? That's not the time they're looking to engage with something less serious. In the same vein, a typical person on TikTok is not trying to make a serious business decision in that moment. They're trying to relax. They're trying to doom scroll away the anxiety of the day. That's part of knowing how to position your adverts on different platforms. A B2B business, a business to business, like a consultant, which I am, my best bet is LinkedIn. My best bet is LinkedIn. Because the assumption is everybody here is serious, right?
Right.
That's the assumption. I put a lot of work into my profile on LinkedIn and all of those things. Admittedly, I don't do the same level of work on some other platforms because I know that by and large, my target audience is not necessarily there trying to make that kind of decision on that platform. Yeah.
All right. I mean, quite an interesting conversation here. Maybe I should say this is not for everybody, but if this resonates with you and you've got a suggestion or a question to ask, or you want to make a comment, now is the time, all right? I'll give you some time to do that via the phone line 0700 951 0000 or 0809 597 4869. And WhatsApp is 0809 993 0137. Those are numbers to call, and I would love to hear from you what your thoughts are on this issue of branding. Do you have a business, and do you have a vibrant brand or branding for your business? What were the mistakes that you made? How did you correct them? What's your experience been so far in building that brand and in building that business by extension? Quite a number of persons do only online business. And so they perhaps would have to rely more on, online presence and all of that. But for persons that generally struggle with social media, there are a lot of people like that. And I think I may add myself in that category. Quite a number of us struggle with social media for whatever reason.
Yeah.
How then do those people get around stuff like this?
Okay. So, social media is just one brand touch point out of several, right? For example, if you are a booker, a restaurant, popular one, known to sell amala, to what extent do you need social media? When you have other forms of marketing like word of mouth, right?
Right.
Just person-to-person referrals, right? So there is a way you can, yes, you've identified your weakness. The question is, what's your strength? What are you good at? Where do you have clout? Right. If I am selling, if I'm a Christian bookstore, right, it's better for me to position myself physically in a big church than to push an Instagram page, for example. You understand? So it's really...
So even these things determine how you spend your capital.
Exactly. You will save a lot of money if you know what you're doing from the beginning. There are places you will not bother spending money because that's not where you're going to get the bulk of your return on investment from.
Well, but you've not answered the question to for those who struggle with social media generally.
So one of two things. You either outsource it. There are several people who do that now as a business, right? Because the truth is, social media is here to stay. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And it's a shortcut, right, somebody all the way in Lagos can see your brand. And, when you compare that to either waiting for them to fly into Abuja or you going physically to Lagos, you see that social media is a shortcut. So it's worth investing. There are people who do social media management for as little as 30,000 per month. And they come up with the content, they help you do the postings, they help you reply comments, reply DMs. There are people who do that. There's an entire, so you can always look into that. Because one thing about social media is it's also a digital footprint.
Right.
Some people, even if they see your store physically, they will first check for you on social media.
To see how many people are following you.
They're trying to check credibility. We're Nigerians. Social proof is a big deal to us, right? We want to see how many other people trust you, right? We want to see what else you can do. We want to see how long you've been around for. Some of these things can accurately or inaccurately be confirmed on social media. So these are some of the reasons why you would have to do social media and also do it properly as well. Because if you do your social media shabbily, it will hurt you.
Indeed, it will hurt you. All right, we'll wrap up the conversation when we come back from this commercial break. Stay tuned.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this.
Yeah, so this is Jolly Johnny on the streets.